Hello there everybody, this is CP666 back with you for a celebratory video. Wow, I never thought I would be celebrating something like this, because to be perfectly honest with you, I never thought I would ever become popular. However, as of today, right now, 7:06 p.m., 8/28/2013, I have a video, my most popular video, Samsung ML-1675 review, that has 10,000 views on it. Woohoo! Alright, so considering that video has 10,000 views now plus, 10,000 plus, of course, because obviously it will have more than 10,000 views by the time it's all said and done, let's go ahead and take a look at the printer. Alright, so now that the printer is actually out of that, there, you'll notice that obviously it's in a LaserJet Pro P1102 box, P1102W, because I bought a new printer. Not because this one needed a new cartridge, and the cartridge was only 10 bucks cheaper than a new printer, but because of the thing that you will see in a second. So let's get out the USB cable. There's a power cord. I'm not going to use that one, but... or maybe I will use that one, I don't know. I have a couple of power cords, so I could probably use a different one. So let's take out this printer. Take a look at it. Not break it, because, of course, we want to actually use it for something. But because of what we're going to take a look here, and I'm going to make a suggestion to everybody who has one of these printers of their own. Do not let your printer sit for weeks on end and then print off humongous 100+ page documents, because eventually something like this will happen. Yeah, it's probably not going to get its mind together and focus on it. Come on, I have auto mode on. Focus, you stupid camera. I suppose it doesn't want to get its mind together and actually focus on something, does it? Oh dear, let's try and manually do this. That's what I'm doing right now. Focus, should be manual. I don't know if I can get up close to it. Okay, you can kind of see it there, but the feed roller starts cracking. Wow, that took an awfully long time. If you do that. So, follow my advice and don't do that. Now, why is this light stuck on? That's more like it. But anyway, so there you have it. Here's the cartridge. It takes MLTD-104S cartridges. What I'm going to do is I'm going to print some documents on it, and we're going to take a look at it in operation for more than likely one last time, at least for the near future. So let me get some paper, let me get it all hooked up, and we'll see what happens. Alright, as you can see, it is set up. And for this demonstration, we are going to be using ye old PowerBook G4, simply because I don't use it nearly often enough. And I also have the fan turned to a lower speed than it normally is, hopefully to reduce the amount of wind noise in the camera's microphone. But I suppose the best place to start is to turn the printer on. And to do that, oh look at that, a FedEx truck passes by while I'm trying to make a video and completely interrupts what I'm doing. Isn't that just awesome? Anyway, what was I on? Oh yes, the power button. To do that, you press the button that is marked power. Of course. It's the most obvious thing. Press power, it's going to warm up. It's going to tell us that there's no paper. So let's put some paper in. Wait for it to warm up, of course. Hopefully you heard that. Alright. So let's go ahead, put some paper in. Now, I don't actually have any paper at the moment, so I'm just using paper from my other printer. And you'll see that the light starts flashing red. That means that there is a problem. But it's not a terminal problem because the only thing wrong is the fact that it's out of toner. The sensor is reporting 0%. Let's go over to the computer here. And I'm going to have to check my printer settings. First of all, I'm going to make sure that I'm not in the way of the camera. And I don't think I am. I'm going to check out my printer stuff. Well, let's see here. Printers and fax, or print and fax. Is my printer here? Yes, it is. There it is. Printer is idle. There you go. So let's prepare some sample documents, shall we? Alright. As you can see, I now have a couple of test documents prepared. But what better thing to do than to actually run a test page through the printer? So to do that, you press this button, press and hold it, of course. You'll see the light turns green, actually, which is an interesting feature. Press and hold it until it starts slowly flashing. It'll warm up the fuser, which isn't a fast process. You'll see it will begin printing. And you'll hear it make some obscene noises in the process. Yes, it is crinkling the page, as you can see. Unfortunately. Most printers do that nowadays anyway. 2894 pages printed. Alright, let's get to printing our test documents. Now, the first one we're going to do is a document that doesn't have any formatting in it. So you can see, pretty plain Jane document. Now, if you want to know about duplexing on this, it's manual only. This does not have a duplexer. I don't believe it even has a duplexer option. So let's go ahead and print this off and see if it will work. Knowing my luck, it won't. But we can always see. Let's go ahead with Samsung ML-1670 series, standard page. That should all work. And let's hit print. Look at that. It's working. Listen to those noises that thing is making. Alright. So you have your test document. Now let's print off a document that does have formatting. Now you have to be careful with this. This is a black and white only printer. But I am here to test stuff. So let's go ahead and test stuff. Let's print this off. So you actually, before I do that, we'll go ahead and take a look at some of it. You can see there's some interesting colors to it. There's some bolding, some italicizing, some weird font, which is wingdings, color text color changes, highlighting, and all that wonderful stuff. So let's go ahead and print this off and stress out the printer more than it needs to be. But then again, this is probably the last time it's going to ever be used for a very long time. Go ahead and print that off. We'll see what it looks like. Alright, there you go. You can see it does do a pretty good job. Underline text. There's the highlights. Not sure how you can see it on camera. Changing text color. The wingdings font. The other change in the highlight and change in highlight color. The italicizing, and the bolding. So that does most assuredly work. What about programs other than LibreOffice or your favorite text writer? Here I have Eclipse, which is a source file creator for C++ or Java or whatever. And what it does is it's used to create source files for programs. Let's go ahead and try and print one off here and see what it looks like. Print. Let's take a look. And let's watch a billion pages come out on the printer. Because something goes wrong. Nope, it's just the one. There you can see that's what it would look like. We have the name, we have a comment, another comment, some inclusion statements. You can see that there is a difference in some text colors, but not very much because this is a black and white printer and there's a staple stuck in my shoe. Now what about images? Now this you definitely have to be really careful about. But because this is a printer that I don't particularly care about, well, we're going to go ahead and print something off that I think is really humorous. So let's do this. Let's print this off and somehow. Of course, I don't know how to print it. Oh, let's get some help. Print. Printing. That's not what I want. Oh, right. There we go. I suppose I didn't see it. So let's print this off, and this is probably going to probably kill my printer, but whatever. ML-1670. Here we go. Alright, so it didn't print like it would on Windows, but you can see that it most assuredly printed off, which is good. And it actually printed off the right way, which is also very, very cool. So now let's print off another test page and see how many pages are printed on this printer. Again, the light turns green. That is all the tests that I want to do, by the way. The printer does get warm in operation, in case you're wondering about that. But then again, most laser printers would get warm in operation. 28,889. Well, would you believe it? I wanted to go ahead and answer some of the questions. Not all of these are questions, but some of them are. Answer some of the questions that I'd received on both the unboxing and setup video, as well as the review video for this particular printer. And I didn't do it. So now I'm making this part of the video probably about 5 hours later. There was a comment here that was flagged as spam. I know what it says, and it is, how many pages does the startup toner get? That depends. That really, really depends. It depends what you're printing on, and if you're printing photos, you'll probably get somewhere around in the neighborhood of 500 to 600 pages. On average, I believe they're rated for 700 or 800, but don't quote me on that. I know that the starter cartridge for this LaserJet Pro is rated for 700 pages, but then again, this is a $160 printer, or ordinarily, this is a $40. So I'd have to say maybe about, being on the generous side, I think I got about maybe 900, 1,000 pages out of mine, so. So there were a couple of people who asked about the print screen functionality, and to do that you need the Easy Printer Manager software, at least as far as I know. After which point there's a driver. Somebody asked me, if you don't use your printer for a very long time, like a year or more, does the ink dry or the printer give you any problem? Well, I wouldn't recommend doing that with a cheap printer, of course. If you do like I do and print off humongous documents after letting the printer sit for about a year, well, maybe not, sit for about maybe a month or so, you might very well have problems. However, that is one of the very reasons why I like having a laser printer. Excuse me. because this is a toner cartridge. Instead of using ink, which is liquid, this uses a powder known as toner, which is why they call it a toner cartridge, and it fuses it through a thing called the fuser. So no, there is no ink that you need to draw, no ink to dry, no ink to leak, none of that. So at least in theory, it shouldn't give you a problem. What you may end up having to do is the following. Rock it back and forth like this a couple of times, and then do this. Don't shake it, because that could very well break it. So I think I mentioned it already in the video, but somebody asked about duplexing. This printer does not have what is called a duplexer. In other words, it cannot print double-sided ordinarily. However, like most other printers in Windows, there is what's called a manual duplex option. If you check that, you can print off on one side, and it will ask you to put the paper back in, and you better make sure you do it the right way, otherwise you're going to have to do the whole thing all over again, because it doesn't tell you what the right way to do it is. And you can put the paper back in the tray. I believe what you do is you hit this button, or you hit OK on the computer. I'm not actually positive. It's been a while since I've done it. And it will print out the other side. So that's how duplexing works. It is very, very slow. But unfortunately, unless you want to pay big bucks for a printer, or you want to buy an inkjet, like an Epson. I know Epsons usually come with duplexers by default. HP charges extra for those. Does it crumple and crease the paper? Well, yes. But then again, see if you can see it. This came out of my HP, which is a brand new printer. And as you can see, there are some crease lines. Any modern printer will do that. I think what I actually said is it's a shadow. And I was unfortunately wrong there, but of course I'm now a year too late. But so there you have it. I believe that's all the questions. If you have more, certainly feel free to leave them down below, and I'll try and answer them there. If I get a whole lot of questions, I will definitely be making another video with a question and answer, even though that's not my intentions. Alright, there you have it. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. This is CP666 signing off. I hope to see you next time. Till then.